After being shrouded in mystery for almost 2 decades, the identity of an unidentified John Doe is revealed following his suicide. Join us today as we discuss the intriguing case of Lyle Stevik.
I'm into the countdown.
Okay, 3, 2, 2,
2.
3,
You stopped at 2. There's a 1.
4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 7, 6, 5,
I want him
4,
to cut you off.
8.
Hey guys! Hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Last week, right? Yeah, okay. Today's episode is done by Akmal. Take it away.
Alright, so this one is kind of on the lines of Peter Bergman. For our longtime followers who remember, we covered that case on episode 2 of the Cold Waters podcast. So this one is very similar to that case. So let's jump into it. On September the 14th, 2001, a man checked into the Quinaul Inn Hotel in Amanda Park, Washington. After arriving to the area via bus, the clerk noticed he had a distinct accent, which he thought was Canadian. He registered his name to the motel as Lyle Stevik and used an Idahoan address as his place of residence. He paid in cash for one night's stay, but said he might stay an extra few days. After entering his room, he went outside and paced back and forth next to the highway, mumbling to himself. After complaining about the noise as his room was right next to the highway, he was assigned a different room. After this, things were quiet until Monday the 17th of September, 3 days after Lyle first arrived. His body was found in his room, hanging from a bar in the closet by a green belt. Authorities were called, and after investigating the crime scene, they quickly took DNA samples, dental records, and fingerprints off of Lyle's body, and put them into international databases in an effort to find his family members. After investigating the address he had given to the clerk, it was found to be a fake, and the police suspected that Lyle Stevik wasn't the man's real name, likely used as an alias to mask his real identity. In his rooms, beside the bed was money, totaling exactly the right amount, for the extra 2-night stay, and a note with the word suicide written on it. Due to a lack of evidence hinting foul play, the cause of death was ruled a suicide. A post-mortem was conducted and a sketch was produced of Lyle, and a reconstructed photograph of him were widely distributed in an effort to finally identify the man. Lyle was described as 5'10", with a light complexion and hazel green eyes, and aged between 20 and 30. The coroner noted that Lyle had recently lost a large amount of weight. He was shown to have Native American and Hispanic ancestry. His teeth were described as in perfect order, and his overall health was very good, leading police to suspect depression as his motive. Many people were questioned and nobody had recognized the man. An isotope sample was done on him, and it was found that Lyle had traveled many states before coming to Amanda Park, Washington. It is believed he had arrived to Amanda Park from Aberdeen or Port Angels. Due to the proximity of Lyle's suicide and 9/11, people suspected that maybe he had lost a family member in the tragedy and decided life wasn't worth living anymore. Online sleuths were quick to pick up the similarity between the names Lyle Stevik and that of a character in a book, You Must Remember This, by Joyce Carol Oates. In the book, the character Lyle Stevik, spelled with a CK instead of just K, contemplate suicide. The case went cold quickly and was left unsolved for over 16 years until May of 2018. In 2018, two genetic genealogists from the DNA Doe project, Colleen M. Fitzpatrick and Margaret Kress, uploaded DNA profiles to Rematch, which is a website, to attempt to link the unidentified man to individuals living in New Mexico and Idaho. The Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office announced on May 8, 2018, that Lyle Stevik had been identified through DNA analysis in comparison with genetic relatives, performed by the DNA Doe Project in collaboration with Aerodyne and Full Genomes Corporation. He was from Alameda County, California, and was 25 years old at the time of death. The Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office notified the man's family, who had believed him to be alive and had thought he did not want to associate with his family. His family had a set of fingerprints that were taken in grade school as part of a children's identification program. The sheriff's department compared those with the postmortem prints taken in 2001 and made a positive identification. To protect his and their privacy, his family has chosen not to identify him publicly. Yeah, so that's the case. It's a very short one. It's an interesting one because when I was writing for this case, I had no idea that they had actually found out who the person was, and so I thought this was going to be a Peter Bergman, and then it wasn't a Peter Bergman, and then I was like, okay, F it, I will just finish the case because I already put too much effort into it. So it was interesting, although we still don't know why or how he died, or was it really a suicide, and if it was, why did he kill himself? Was it really because someone he knew died in 9/11? Although he lives in New Mexico and Idaho somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but that's pretty far from New York, so I don't know if he did know anyone in New. But it's interesting. What did you think?
Um, so they ruled it out as suicide, but did they carry out a proper investigation, or was it just
No, they didn't
judging
rule out suicide. They said that suicide was the most likely cause of death because they didn't find any evidence of foul play. So yeah.
Hey, isn't that kind of fishy though? You just have a note that's just written suicide
True.
on the.
I don't know if the note was in his handwriting either. I don't know if they confirmed that, but yeah, that is really fishy. This case sort of was like floating around in the true crime space as one of the Peter Bergman type cases where you just don't know what happened exactly or who the person was. Up until 2018 when it was confirmed that he had a family and who he was and everything. Although they haven't really let the details slip on that.
But what year was this that he committed suicide?
2001. Like a few days after 9/11. September the 14th, which is 3 days after 9/11. Yeah. So a lot of people kind of assumed maybe that's what it had to do with. Yeah. Overall, a healthy person, so they kind of didn't think it was anything to do with a health problem. Yeah. People had some wild theories on this one. Some people said he got abducted by an alien or something. Just crazy stuff.
Too far-fetched.
Kind of thinking about it, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and say that Peter Bergman was probably an alien and he was some sort of, I don't know. That case, Peter Bergman, still is in the back of my mind. It's insane to me how even after the extensive media coverage it's gotten and so much DNA testing and this and that, we don't have any definitive evidence on who Peter Bergman was. We don't even have a vague idea. We just sort of suspect it. But then with Lyle Stevik, that was kind of the case up until May of 2018, and I was pretty surprised because when I was researching for this case, initially I didn't know that, and then much later, when I was sort of at the end of the case, uh, I read an article they were talking about how in 2018 they identified Lyle Stevik, and I was like, oh, nice, nice, that's good. At least his family got some closure. It's brought back like memories of Peter Bergman. Now, that was a very interesting case. So, what did you think?
And I feel a bit this thing about it. Like, and what did the parents like come forward and say about it?
They
Like,
actually chose
anything?
not to come forward
Why?
to protect. I don't know, but yeah, that's one of
Was
the
he
weird ones.
suicidal? Like, was there anything that the parents said as to if he
No,
had like?
I don't think so. They haven't come out with any details. All I know is that his body has been identified, and his parents have been. I mean, I don't know if it's parents, but his family has been notified.
I feel like it has little information to like lead the case anywhere. That's probably why, in the first place, the case went cold.
Mm.
It's like the lack of information the police would have about him or
Yeah.
anyone that's investigating the case. I mean, it's not going to lead you anywhere but a bunch of dead ends. Like, did he not have family or friends in the place he was? Not family, but like friends or something.
He came
Workmates.
alone there, so his accent was a weird one as well because it was described as Canadian, even though later they find out he's from New Mexico.
Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Next week's episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Bye.